Hello, everybody out in YouTube world. We are back. It is welcoming everyone here to After Action Report here on the Call to Action podcast channel, your numbers recap show for all Schmoedown matches to keep you caught up on all the action here. I am your host, Megs, joined as always by my co-host, Nat. Nat, if you can't tell, I'm a little tongue-tied because I'm slightly tired today, but how are you?
I'm doing great, Megs. We got a lot to talk about this week because I have players in every match on my fantasy team. I'm still in last place, but it was still a big week for me.
Yes, indeed, it was. This week, we saw some rookies and veterans looking to, in our vernacular, get over the hump as far as getting over some losing records, some slumps in their gameplay coming into the midpoint of this season. And similar to how we were last week at Stars, we saw, I shouldn't be surprised by this, but there were the usual suspects in the lineup for the results in this week. But without further ado, before I get myself in any more trouble with puns, here are the matches that we saw this week. We had two singles matches and an IG match. We saw Rachel Silvestrini going up against Paige Fabretti. And then we had Jen Kemp coming up against Felix Morit and Jesse Swift and Jacob Wittenhaven. So without further ado, let's jump right into first matches that we had here with Rachel the Switchblade Silvestrini and the Boston Badass herself, Paige Fabretti. Hockey references abounding in the promos, but getting into the match itself, we saw that Paige was up by 3, 9-6 coming out of the first round. Paige able to get the perfect round plus the bonus there. Rachel not too far behind her, only 3 points down there, where we come into the second round here, where we also saw that Paige decides to defer over to Rachel. She spins away from Adam Sandler and ends up taking Lucasfilm, where she is able to sweep the round for the full 8 out of 8. So really cool to see there. And then Paige comes in with her first spin, ends up going away from musicals and takes Quentin Tarantino, where she also sweeps the round for the full 8 out of 8. After 2 rounds, nothing changes. Paige is still up by 3, 17-14, going into the third and final round, where Rachel hits her 2-pointer and her 3-pointer in fantasy, sci-fi, and horror, respectively. And then we saw Paige come in and hit her 2 and 3-pointer in Tom Hanks and comedies. Rachel is unfortunately unable to hit a 5-pointer in Denzel Washington, just mixing up 2 people's names, which does give Paige the win with a final score of 22-19, where Rachel scored 12 of 15 questions correct for 80% accuracy and scored 70% of 27 available points. Paige Fabretti answered 15 of 15 questions for 100% accuracy and scored 100% of 22 available points. As we've said in previous weeks, it's hard to get a leg up when your opponent is not missing. However, looking back at previous stats, this is Rachel's best performing match in her singles career. Coming out with 80% accuracy and that 70% potential points accuracy is a significant improvement from previous matches that she has had in the singles division thus far. So really encouraging to see there, even though she was unable to push Paige to hit her 5-pointer there in that final round. Both of them were using JTEs in that first round, which is always really nice to see from a gameplay standpoint, and both amazing big personalities, and super excited to see them stick around for a while. Nat, do you have anything else you wanted to add in from this match particularly?
This is the Paige Fabretti I've been waiting to see. This is what I expected when I drafted her on my fantasy team. This is her at her best, and I love to see it. I thought Rachel played really good. I think that she is highly underrated given her record and everything. She's so much better than that record shows. And I think she showcased that in this match. I think against most opponents she would have won. But there's, like you said, there's not much you can do when your opponent does not miss. So it was a very impressive showing by Paige. I hope she can keep this up because I I've heard from people that she's been working hard at it, so I could see her being a contender in the future. And I just want to see Rachel get a win because we love her here at Call Action.
Absolutely. And if you want to see more of Rachel and Paige, you can check out the interview and hangout that we did with both these ladies yesterday on this very channel on our Call Live episode. I see Jake hanging out in the chat. He and Alex hung out with those two ladies last night. So be sure and check that out if you have not already. Also, while you guys are hanging out here, make sure that you have hit the like button and leave a comment. And if this is your first time watching this show, go ahead and subscribe to this channel as well so you can keep up to date on everything that's going on here. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and shimmy on over to our next match of the week, where we saw Jen Kemp go up against Felix Morit. Nat, you've been waiting for this one for a little while too, haven't you?
Yeah. Felix is Jake's over here saying no one cares about the dance team. People care, Jake. People care. And he was my last pick in my fantasy team, and I've been waiting for like 7 months for him to debut. And yeah, he didn't perform great, but I really dig his character. I really hope to see more of him in the future. I think he really fits the stars really well. But Jen Kemp, man, she's really good. She's really coming into her own. And yeah, I mean, very good showing by her.
Absolutely, yes. And thank you for correcting me there, Jake. It was Jake, Kelsey, and Ryan Payne actually joining in with us. So really awesome to see that. Apologies for that. There were many internal conversations of who was jumping in on there, so I misremembered. Apologies for that. But back into this match where we see that Jen Kemp is up by 5. It is 9-4 coming out of that first round. Coming into the second round, Jen Kemp decides to defer over to Felix, and Felix spins away from Wizarding World and ends up taking the 1990s, where he is able to come away with 3 out of 8 points there, checking on the multiple choice 3 times, and does give up 2 of those for 1-point steals to Jen, who decides to take Wizarding World on her first spin and comes in and is able to score 7 out of 8 available points, checking on a multiple choice once, but not giving up any steals, which takes Jen Kemp with an additional gain of 6 points to be up 11 points, which did give her the win via KO with a final score of 18-7, where Jen Kemp answered 15 of 15 questions for 100% accuracy and scored 95% of 19 available points, where Felix was able to answer 6 out of 12 questions for 50% accuracy and scored 41% of 17 available points. Again, Jen is just continuing to make a statement in this league following her free-for-all performance, and also the way she was able to perform in her latest teams match, which debuted a couple weeks ago as well. Again, as you were saying earlier, not an ideal first match for Felix Morit, but hoping that he can stick around because he did have a really good energy and a really good persona coming into this match.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch of players who have debuted and didn't have the best showing, and they were able to bounce back. I have no doubt that Felix has the potential to bounce back. I will say in round 2, I understand that hindsight is 2020. But I understand why Felix spun away from Wizarding World, because he knew that Jen Kemp would be able to steal the ones he missed. So I understand that thought process, but I think it might have been better if he felt comfortable doing Wizarding World to get that category off the wheel for her. So I mean, you can pick apart the game after it's all said and done and everything, but I don't know. I think it's really interesting to think about.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously not knowing what kind of questions you're going to get. And, you went away from a category that you weren't totally confident in, but you knew for sure that your opponent was likely going to be able to get steals off of you, to a wide decade category. Kind of wasn't, and it was just kind of an unideal situation from the get-go. But I do actually understand his decision to spin away, knowing that if he ended up with it, he probably would have been fine, but he ended up with something that was maybe a little less ideal than what he could have stuck with. So you live and you learn, and the wheel is a fickle thing, especially this season. And speaking of that, let's shift on over to our final match for this week, which was Jesse Swift versus Jacob Wittenhaven, two debut IG competitors here coming in for their second match of the season, where we see that they are both tied up at 6 coming out of that first round. A little rough for both of them, not able to get that perfect round there. Coming into the second round, Swift decides to spin first. He spins opponent's choice first and ends up being given Planet of the Apes, where he is able to come away with 2 out of 10 available points. He checks down the multiple choice 3 times, misses all 3, and also gives up 1 2-point question for no steals, actually. None of them were able to be stolen up by Wittenhaven, who he decides to, on his first spin, take Middle Earth, and he's able to come away with 5 out of 10 points, where he checks down the multiple choice on 4 questions and does give up 1 miss for for not any steals. So kind of seeing here a big defensive struggle here. Neither of them being able to get a perfect round 1, and then a lot of trying to just minimize the damage in round 2, but no steals really given up in that round at all. So a very interesting dynamic to watch. Coming into the third round, Wittenhaven does gain 3 points to be up by 3, 11-8. Coming into this round, where Jesse's able to hit a 2 and 3-pointer in Batman and Fantasy Sci-Fi. Wittenhaven hits a 2-pointer in Wizarding World, misses a 3-pointer in Alien and Predator, which bounces it back over to Jesse Swift, where he misses a 5-pointer in Indiana Jones. They're tied at this point, goes back over to Jacob, who misses a 5-pointer in Heroes, which means they are tied up at 13, and we go into sudden death, where on the first question, unfortunately, Jacob is not able to hit that question, and Jesse does, which does give us the win for Jesse Swift with a final score of 14-13, where Jesse answered 10 of 20 questions for 50% accuracy and scored 42% of 33 available points. Jacob Wittenhaven answered 11 of 23 questions for 48% accuracy and scored 35% of 37 available points. As I said before, a major defensive struggle on both sides of the table. Anything else to add on this one, Nat? This was kind of a crazy one to watch.
Yeah, this wasn't the prettiest match, but there's something to be said for defensive battles. I really appreciate when we've seen like the high scoring affairs. We've seen the record breaking matches. This was not one of them, but it's still special in its own way, where if it goes down to sudden death and anything can happen, that's a match that I enjoy watching. And I think so. A great man once said, I think it was Nelson Mandela said, I never lose, I win or I learn. Jesse Swift both won and learned today, or whenever this match happened. I think that he showed like one clear weakness and something that he needs to work on. But it's better to get that out of the way in a match that's not going to cost you the win. So I'm glad he was able to like have that weakness exposed in this match, and not like a different match where someone else might have been able to capitalize on it. So I'm really hoping that he plays better, and I think that Jacob Wittenhaven is also someone who has potential to get better. I think he's shown that he knows his stuff. So it was a rough match to watch, not gonna lie, but it was very close, and I'm hoping these two play better their next performance, and I have no doubt that they will.
Absolutely. And yeah, just as we were saying earlier, kind of mentioned here, like, yeah, again, not pretty, but it is kind of refreshing and different to see matches that aren't seeing the top tier potential points earn 100% accuracy across the board all the time. You want to see them take some struggles, some stumbles, and see where do they go from there? How do they continue the match after they've had some struggles and some missteps early on in the match. So guys, that is actually the last match of the week that we are going to be talking about. We've had some big announcements this week just today, from the chairman about some matches that are upcoming. Super exciting about that. We've got the Collision coming up this week, which is going to be awesome. And be on the lookout. I am still working out logistics of when I'm going to be releasing it, but I am going to be recording my next rookie report, our midpoint, to see where all of our rookies are at before Collision and before the tournament, singles tournament, all the tournaments start. So you guys will get an idea and a snapshot of what all these rookies have been doing throughout the season. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be a special classified report here on the Call to Action channel. You can find all of us on our socials, which are down in the bottom of the link of the description of this video. We'll be back next week for our regular After Action report, same time, same place. We will definitely be talking about the Collision, because it is going to be open to the public and free to everybody. So we'll be able to break that entire thing down in its entirety. But until then, and until you guys see me for the rookie report, Nat, where else can we find you on the channel?
Oh, we got big news for me. So you used to be able to find me on Twitch on Tuesdays, but now we're moving to Wednesdays. So same time, 6 Pacific on Wednesdays, right there. Where's the TV Touch Call to Action? And also, I was debating whether or not to announce it or not. I'm not going to announce who, but yesterday we were done recording a new episode of No Show. And I'm not going to give away who it is, but it is someone that we have had the most amount of people requesting. So look out for that. And also, we're recording one later this week. So we're probably going to post a No Chill either Thursday or Friday. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for our socials, where we will be announcing who it is and when we're going to post it. It's going to be a good one. We got 2 big guests coming up. So keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely. I've been hearing on who these people are, and I am super excited to see them as well. But again, guys, be sure to check out Call Live from yesterday, and as well as all the other things. And if you want to be notified what's going on, make sure that you have hit that notification bell on this channel if you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Please go ahead and do that so you can be all kept up on everything that's been going on this channel. Be sure that you hit that like button. Please leave us a comment. Let us know how things have been going here. But until next time, for Nat and the whole Call to Action team, this has been After Action Report, and I am your host, Megs, and we are signing off.